This time I will call to order the Stillwater Utilities Authority meeting for April 1st, 2024. Trustees, action on the consent docket.
Motion to approve the consent docket.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve consent. Please vote. The vote of 4-0, the SUA consent docket is approved. Under general orders, we have consider approval of a professional services agreement with HDR Engineering, and David Barth is here to tell us more.
Yes, good evening, trustees. I'm David Barth with Engineering, here tonight to discuss the need for a update to our wastewater master plan and a new wastewater model. And so on this cover slide, you can see a couple of images there. On the left is the newly constructed inverted siphon that crosses underneath Boomer Creek on our south interceptor, and those three barrels are just west of our wastewater treatment plant. And that's fiberglass reinforced pipe, if you were curious. The right image is a model run, and so we'll be discussing the wastewater model, but our existing wastewater model, we can run scenarios where you see all of these little green and red dots. Those are manholes on our collection system, and those are the red dots mean that we ran this scenario with a storm event, and in the future, let's say 20 years from now, and it shows that those are manholes where we might have an overflow or what they call surcharging. And so those are areas then that point to where we might have I&I, which is inflow and infiltration, or that just undersized lines where we need to do capacity enhancements. So a little bit about our collection system. We have 250 miles of sewer line, 17 lift stations, and over 5,900 manholes. So quite a bit for our utility staff to take care of. The issues that we're going to address with this master plan update, one of the big things is our sewer model that we have is it was actually a sewer model that we had before our previous master plan was done, but the sewer model is skeletonized, meaning not all of our pipes, our pipe network is in that model, which makes it difficult for predicting impacts due to new development from our system. The other thing is that during that previous master plan, the flow monitoring that was performed was during a period where we didn't have significant rainfall events, and so the part of the flow monitoring is to identify inflow and infiltration issues like you see in those photos, but also it's to develop storm event scenarios that we can use in modeling. So if we don't have good rainfall during our flow monitoring, we're not going to have a good basis for our model. So we're excited about that. So if you look at the two images there below, these are not from the city of Stillwater, but we have experienced things like this. In the lower left-hand corner is a offset joint or a hole in the top of the pipe allowing stormwater to flow in. In the right, you can see a surcharging manhole that's in maybe an intersection during a rainfall event where the collection system is just overcome due to the inflow of stormwater. Also, I wanted to say that the age of our existing master plan, it's 14 years old. You should update these every 10 years or so. So we're kind of behind on that, and want to make sure that we update our master plan. And again, we want to make sure that we're taking care of inflow and infiltration. What that does is it's sending stormwater into your collection system, into your treatment plant. So we don't need to treat stormwater, so it's going to create capacity issues, could upset the wastewater treatment plant, and so we want to avoid that. So the benefits of a new master plan and model, some of which I've talked about, is to identify I&I through flow monitoring during a active weather pattern, which we have today. And also we want to have a more robust sewer model that represents our entire pipe network, so that we can then use that information that developers turn in, whether it's a residential development, a commercial development, or an industrial user, that we can take that information and predict what kind of impact their development has on our system. And so whether we need to upsize a line that's downstream of that development, or whether there needs to be upgrades to a lift station, those types of things. And then also a prioritized capital improvement plan will be part of this master plan. And so we have a capital improvement plan, but this project actually could identify new activities that we need to do to address I&I, or maybe identify areas where we need to do capacity enhancements that we don't know about. So we'll incorporate those into our plan. These images on this sheet, I wanted to show on the left, this is another model scenario. So that green line that's on top that's real jagged is just the ground surface, and those vertical black lines represent manholes. That blue shaded area that's kind of there just shows what the depth of the flow is in the sewer line at that time. And so we can run, like I said, different scenarios, adding development, adding storm events, and see what happens downstream of a certain area. This right image is actually our new aerial crossing that's on Boomer Creek, south of 12th on our south interceptor. You might remember previously we brought in pictures of an aerial crossing where the structure that was holding up the pipe had failed, and so we had essentially bootstrapped it with welded bands and chains and locks and all kinds of things, and a big I-beam just to hold it together. And so now we've got this newly constructed aerial crossing, which I'm really proud of, that was constructed last fall. So we don't have any naming rights or anything like that, but anyway, we could consider that, I guess. So we're actually looking at this from a phased approach. One, because we need to get this thing going right now. You know, we're moving into a time of the year where the active weather pattern is the best time for us to capture that good flow monitoring, the wet weather data. And so if with the approval of the trustees this evening, we'll be deploying flow monitors, and within 2 weeks our consultant will. And there's two things. One, we want to capture that wet weather data, but also we really want to capture data while the students are still here. And so if we deploy flow monitors around the 15th of April, then we can have maybe 3 weeks of flow monitoring while the majority of, or a good portion of our town is still here before they go home for the summer. And so tonight we're asking that you approve the agreement with HDR Engineering to do this phase 1 flow monitoring, and then also we'll be working on a scope to come back later and ask for your authorization to have an amendment with them for a wastewater master plan and the model, the actual continuation of that. But we've got to get the flow monitoring done, and the flow monitoring is really expensive, so we just do that for a couple of months, and we want to get that started right away. So any questions before I share my recommendation?
Trustees? Did a good job explaining that. I think we're good.
I'm trying to be exciting. Brady did a really good job on the Block 34. He's got all these fancy renderings and people wanting to give money and name stuff. And then Travis has got all this cool street stuff. And, Counselor Jalowski's got all these great questions. So I'm trying to be more exciting.
Anyway, you can't be exciting when it comes to sewer systems.
Apparently not. Master planning sewer is hard. But, maybe if I bring in, I've been, thinking about some wardrobe enhancements. And so we'll, go from there.
I still like the naming rights concept. That's
Yeah,
what
I think-
Yeah, well, we're going to have lots of stuff.
Maybe
yeah.
RCB would be interested in naming the sewer.
Yeah.
What's your recommendation for us, David?
Sure. So recommend the trustees approve the professional services agreement with HDR Engineering, authorize total expenditures not to exceed $396,000, which includes a 10% contingency, and authorize the general manager to sign the agreement and related budget amendment.
Trustees?
I move to approve staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, that is approved.
Thank you.
David. Item 6 is resolutions. Adopt resolution SUA 2024-1, authorizing an equipment lease purchase agreement. Christy?
This is I'll introduce it
you're
and
gonna
Christy's
introduce it.
available for questions.
Okay.
This is a resolution of the Stillwater Utilities Authority authorizing the execution and delivery of an equipment lease purchase agreement and related instruments and determining other matters in connection therewith. Approval of this resolution would approve the purchase of 8 new waste management vehicles to be purchased via a lease purchase agreement with BOK Financial Equipment Finance, Inc., to be financed in an amount of $3,495,000, and authorizing the general manager to sign any documents in connection therewith. Assistant City Manager and Finance Director Christy Cluck is here if you have any other questions.
Trustees, do you have any other questions?
Well, I'll just comment, we've been here before, and we're doing this again because we were working with a band bank. They're on the naughty list for the state of Oklahoma.
And to be clear, you're referring to not BOK Financial
No,
Equipment
no,
Finance?
no.
Okay.
The previous action was with a different
Yes.
bank that
Okay.
is on the
Entering
banned
this lease
list.
purchase agreement with BOK Financial Equipment Finance, Inc. is legally acceptable.
I gotcha. Okay.
Good.
Thanks for making that clear. But we wouldn't, yeah. I think they're close to actually passing the state law that gets us out of that little mess, but we're not there yet. Further questions about the resolution? Is there action on the resolution?
Motion to adopt resolution SUA 2024-1.
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Please vote. That resolution is adopted with a vote of 4-0. Any reports from the officers of the board? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn SUA. Please vote. With a vote of 4-0, the Stillwater Utilities Authority is now adjourned.